Chetna, a journey relived on its silver jubilee. The year was 2014. It was the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Diesel Locomotive Works, Varanasi, now renamed Banaras Locomotive Works. Many guests were invited from all over India. Amidst one such gathering of women's organization, someone stood up and asked, "Who started Chetna?" There was silence. I sighed that transported me back in time. It has been many years, and yet I remember it as vividly as yesterday. It was my husband's last posting before retirement, and I wanted to make the most of it. Sit back, relax, enjoy, or travel. As Vice President of the Women's Organization, I was happy and contented to be involved in various social activities, so just look forward to enjoy my stay in Banaras. But that was not meant to be. After a hectic schedule of settling my daughter in an MBA school, in walked the general manager and his wife. They knew us from our earlier posting at Patiala, and also that I had been teaching at Yadvindra Public School for many years, so came straight to the point. "We have 4 months to retire," they said, "and we have a project in mind, a special project, for which we would like you to be the chairperson. And we want to open a school for the handicapped, especially mentally challenged." I was simply taken aback and refused. "I know nothing about this, and I have never been involved in such an institute," I replied. Maybe it was my own inexperience of handling special children, or the magnitude of the task, or the fear of failure, that I was extremely hesitant. But they insisted, and the rest, as they say, is history. And it was named Chetna. After the initial euphoria of the inauguration, presided by the Chairman Railway Board, there was a sudden lull. For 3 days I sat in despair, not knowing from where to begin and how. There were no teachers, no students, no infrastructure, no curriculum. All I had was a building and some money. Soon I gathered myself and took it up as a challenge. First things first, I educated myself, visited 2 such schools, and observed the various aspects. In spite of activities going on in the schools, something was amiss. There was sadness and gloom everywhere. Surely I can do better than this, I thought to myself, and so found the objective of the school, to spread cheer and happiness. I then formed my team, delegated duties, and worked in cohesion. Hired a part-time psychologist, an art teacher, and a few more staff. The qualities I looked for was compassion and exuberance. With a few students to begin with, my team and I visited Chetna. My heart sank. They were all unkept, uncared for, disheveled children. Scared, they stared without comprehension. Some tugged at the teachers' saris. Some were even violent. The families looked harassed too, unable to cope up with the multitude problems, psychological, social, emotional. Our first steps were faltering, difficult, and new. We started with the basics: hygiene, health, and behavioral norms. Simple hand skills like tying shoelaces, washing hands, buttoning shirts, or greeting people. For 3 months, nothing much happened. And then I saw a ray of hope. There were behavioral changes. They greeted the visitors, smiled, understood directions. I knew academics would never be the goal of such children, so emphasis was on hand skills, to learn something useful. People from all walks of life reached out, willingly helped. The Directorate of Small-Scale Industries came to teach my staff and team candle making. The medical department came to school and gave them a complete checkup. The civil department quickly built a boundary wall of the school. I only had to ask. The community poured their love. I was amazed. Now my years of teaching came into use. From the very first month, I conducted PTA meetings every month. The curriculum and timetable were framed. Morning prayers and PT every morning, basic language skills, simple accounting, concept of time, color, etc. The second half would be devoted to hand skills, candle making to begin with. Saturdays was kept for art, music and dance. The children just loved this. The goals were small, the achievements too slow, and yet it was worth the effort. Soon I widened the scope of the school, added more activities and other forms of handicap, like deaf and dumb, and turned it into a vocational training center. My team was very energetic, hardworking, and full of ideas and suggestions. Our candles were accepted by two prestigious hotels, Taj Ganges and Clark's. We started selling candles full scale and then developed a logo for marketing purposes. In all fairness, we passed on the profit to these children, and I got my second goal of the school, to make them self-reliant. Can you visualize the glow on their faces and twinkle in their eyes as they got cash rewards in everyone's presence? Suddenly, these handicapped children became special, earning members of the family. SBI came to school and opened an account jointly with their mothers, and Chetna became the darling, the showcase of BLW. And then I introduced the uniform. That was the game changer. That raised their confidence, self-esteem, and gave them a new identity. The first Diwali Mela was a grand success. The candles sold like hotcakes. The Masala Center was another success story. With the help of the authorities, we did some fundraising to ensure salaries of staff. By the third year, the school was on firm footing. My last year in Varanasi and my last report on Chetna. The annual day was celebrated in the open-air stadium in the presence of 10,000 families. Amongst the invitees was Viswanathan Anand, the famous chess player's parents. On leaving, Mrs. Anand asked me, "Mrs. Mehndiratta, why did you switch from English to chaste Hindi in the middle of your speech?" I said, "For the benefit of these mothers." And I remember having said what one mother with a newfound freedom had expressed at a PTA meeting. When a child goes to school, a safe place, learning something new and good and useful, she, the homemaker, attends to her house, looks after other children, and also has some rest. There was a thunderous applause in the stadium. Did I accomplish my mission of spreading cheer and happiness? You tell me. I had given my heart and soul to this project. It recently celebrated its silver jubilee. It gives me immense pleasure to see it flourishing. The pictures have been shared by a teacher whom I had appointed 25 years back. I feel humbled and overwhelmed. Thank you.